My favorite Thanksgiving memory is it was our second Thanksgiving out in Reno, and my parents came out and my brother-in-law came out, and we decided we were going to do an outdoor picnic. We were going to do a deep fried turkey. We brought all of our dishes outside, and we were waiting for the oil to heat up, and it took so long for the oil to heat up because of how cold it was that all of our side dishes nearly froze. But at least the turkey was hot. It was so much fun. We had so much fun. It was freezing cold though.
My favorite Thanksgiving food would be turkey, ham, dressing, mashed potato, collard greens, turnip greens, conch peas, butter beans, sweet potato casserole, cornbread rolls, and a little giblet gravy, and to finish off with red velvet cake and banana pudding. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
My favorite Thanksgiving food is definitely the mac and cheese. I think you can judge how well Thanksgiving is gonna go based off the mac and cheese alone. If you don't believe that, I don't know where you've been eating, but mac and cheese is where it's at.
My favorite Thanksgiving tradition is the Great Turkey. Look, you've never heard of the Great Turkey? Neither had I until I married my husband, and he said that the Great Turkey brought people gifts every year at Thanksgiving. So we continued the tradition with our children, and every Thanksgiving morning we get up and there are gifts for everyone. They're wrapped in brown paper and they have little turkey footprints on them. Everybody gets a gift from the Great Turkey. That's my favorite Thanksgiving tradition.
My favorite Thanksgiving memories always involved us traveling. Every Thanksgiving we would go somewhere. As a young child, we would go 3.5 hours away to a family that we knew in a small little town called Lowville, New York. I loved going there and sleeping in their tiny little attic with my two sisters. And we would have Thanksgiving. They would invite family and friends over, a huge amount of people. And they always had something called Strogan bologna. I don't know what it was other than it tasted great and I loved it. And then the next day we would go into the woods and walk through the snow and pick out a pine tree and cut it down for a Christmas tree for their house. It was always wonderful. Loved going there. As we got older, we started renting a cabin in the Adirondack Mountains of New York. There was no one around for miles. We could walk through the trails and play Monopoly and read books, explore the woods, just sit by the enormous fireplace that they had there, and so much more. I always got excited every year when it started to get cold. I think it was because of the joy that I had during those trips. Those were some of my favorite Thanksgiving times.
My favorite part of Thanksgiving is that couple hours after the meal when everybody's watching football and starts to get a little bit hungry again, and we all start grazing on leftovers, and by the time you finish, you maybe had 5 or 6 meals. That's definitely my favorite part.
My most memorable Thanksgiving was when my mother-in-law was actually sick in the hospital, extremely sick. And we made sure that we were together. So we got with the nurses and the staff, and we made sure there were tables and chairs, and we went to Cracker Barrel and got the turkey dinner, and it was just so memorable that we got together. No matter who was sick, who couldn't be there, we were in the hospital eating together. Now, if you'd ask her, she'd probably say it was the worst Thanksgiving, but in actuality, it was so cool to see how thankful we were that we were all together that day.
One of my favorite Thanksgiving memories was when our daughter Kylie was, I think, in kindergarten, and she was in a Thanksgiving program at her school, and they sang a song about Thanksgiving, and it has been a part of our family ever since. And the end of the song just goes, "Oh my pumpkin pie, everybody loves pumpkin pie with whipped cream." And I don't think a year's gone by yet where somebody in the family hasn't sung that little ditty.
I think one of my most favorite Thanksgiving memory was when Brooks and I were in seminary, and we were invited over to some folks' house, and instead of having turkey, they grilled steaks. And I thought, this is a better tradition than turkey. As a kid, we had to eat turkey from Thanksgiving to Christmas, and then we got turkey again at Christmas and had to eat it till Easter, and then thank God for Easter when we had ham. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
My brother, sister, and I, along with my cousins and other family and friends, would get up early. We would go out to Owen Field, which is the home of the greatest college football team in America, the Oklahoma Sooners, and we would play the Turkey Bowl. Immediately after the game, to either celebrate our victory or agonize over our defeat, we would go to the local convenience store and gather some peanuts and pop. And this is what we would do. We would pour these peanuts into this pop. Oh, and then imbibe. Peanuts and pop. A great Thanksgiving tradition coming soon to a home near you.
My most memorable Thanksgiving was the year that Bethany and I got married. After Thanksgiving dinner, Bethany and her mom sent her dad and I to Best Buy. We were looking for a TV that year. We had just gotten married. And he and I stood in line for hours and hours and hours that night until they opened. We didn't even end up buying one. We didn't buy anything that night, but it was just so fun getting to spend time with him as a new son-in-law. We made a bunch of friends in line, and it's a night I'll never forget.
My favorite food for Thanksgiving is hands down stuffing with some good old pan turkey gravy. I could live off of stuffing for sure, without a doubt. And of course, a good old piece of some pumpkin pie with Cool Whip, not whipped cream, Cool Whip.
So my fondest memory for Thanksgiving is, I gotta say, when I was a young girl, my family would all get together. I come from a big Italian Maltese family, and we'd have all the aunts and uncles and cousins, and I remember there being lots of food. We had an adult table, teenage table, and a kids table. And we had a 5-course meal, so there was a lot of food. We'd start around 1 o'clock, and we would just eat probably till about 8 o'clock.
My funniest Thanksgiving memory is when my mom decided she would try to be Rachel Ray and make a fancy Thanksgiving dinner. So she tried all these recipes that said it should take 60 minutes. It ended up taking her 6 hours, and we had things like pumpkin soup and green beans that had apple cider in them, and apple stuffing muffins, and I think it was a pesto turkey. So that's definitely my most memorable and very funny Thanksgiving.
My favorite Thanksgiving tradition is when all of my family gets together in the same household. Football is on the TV. We are serving our plates of food with the most delicious, beautiful food you would ever see. And right before we dig into our meals, we go around the table as a family and say one thing that we're thankful for. And it's just so awesome to hear what everyone is thankful for, and then we pray together as a family, and then we dig into our plates and we just spend time laughing and being together. It is absolutely my favorite.
My favorite Thanksgiving tradition is the actual meal itself. See, in our family, each of the different members brings together their favorite, maybe signature item. I'm known for my mac and cheese, as my 8-year-old calls it, Mom's famous mac and cheese. And so each of the different families, we bring it to the table and we get to share that blessing together.
My favorite Thanksgiving meal is easily my grandma's famous green fluff. It's made out of pistachio pudding, marshmallows, and some cherries. It is so good.
So my most important Thanksgiving tradition, or favorite Thanksgiving tradition, involves me making the turkey and doing it right. Cream cheese under the skin, bay leaves, oranges and onions in the middle, and then the gravy that comes out of said turkey is amazing. All the juices that come together with the flour. And so for me, doing Thanksgiving dinner is the fun part, and the cleanup is not. So that's it. Thanks.